wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Welcome back. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Saidul. On the show tonight, US President Donald Trump has said that Iran has reached out to the United States of America, but it's too late for any kind of talking. Further saying that something big is going to happen in less than a week. This as US officials confirm that America could be just 48 hours from direct military engagement in the Iran-Israel war. Also on the show, US President Donald Trump will be meeting Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir as the Iran-Israel conflict enters day 6. Trump has chosen to meet Pakistan's army chief instead of the civilian leadership. We will get you the complete report and what will be on the agenda of that meeting on the show. Also on Gravitas, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the G7 summit, marking a potential reset in ties between India and Canada. All that and a lot more lined up for you. Let's get you started.
You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. The world teeters on the razor's edge of global catastrophe. As US officials confirm, America could be just 48 hours away from direct military engagement in the deadly war consuming Israel and Iran war. Well, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has rejected Trump's demand for unconditional surrender. Trump is keeping his cards close, saying he might or might not attack Iran. Russia warns the world is millimeters away from catastrophe. Germany is urging the US to join Israel's war efforts, while France warns Trump of the chaos ahead. But first, let's get you the latest. Explosions thunder through Tehran and Tel Aviv as the 6th day
of the war between arch nemesis Iran and Israel claims at least 585 Iranian lives and leaves 1,326 wounded, while Israel mourns 24 dead and dozens more injured. Tehran burns under relentless assault. Fresh explosions rip through the Iranian capital's eastern districts as at least 5 towering columns of black smoke poison the skyline. The city's southeast quarter resembles a war zone as Israeli precision strikes rain down with devastating accuracy. The IDF claims a staggering 1,100 Iranian targets have been destroyed since Friday. Iran's supreme leader refuses to concede in a defiant televised address that reverberated across the region. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei declared his nation would never surrender to President Trump's ultimatum. His chilling warning to Washington, intervene at your peril, for America would face irreparable damage supporting its Israeli ally.
Telling the Iranian nation to surrender is not a wise thing to say. Wise people who know the region, the Iranian people and its history would never say that. Whom should we surrender to? Iran is not a nation to surrender.
A short while ago, speaking to reporters, President Donald Trump left the question of whether the U.S. will join Israeli strikes on Iran up in the air, while asserting that Tehran had reached out to seek negotiations.
Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
All right. Trump also said that Iranian officials suggested coming to the White House for talks. But the U.S. president said it is very late for talks now. But moments after his remarks, Iran's mission to the UN has denied Trump's claim and said that no Iranian official has ever asked to grovel at the gates of the White House.
I said it's very late. You know? I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President.
We may meet. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
The stakes could not be higher. Trump must decide whether to plunge America into a war against Iran that risks dragging Washington into a catastrophic West Asian conflict, or seize the opportunity to eliminate a nuclear-armed foe forever. Mishandling the situation could pull Washington into a major conflict with dangers and unpredictable consequences for Americans. Washington is rapidly shifting military assets into the region. Warships and aircraft pour into West Asian waters and airspace as the Pentagon insists that these are just defensive moves. Though few believe such hollow assurances as tensions speak louder. Iran's retaliation plan is already in motion. Given Khamenei's defiant stance, Tehran is poised to unleash devastating strikes on U.S. military bases across West Asia the moment Washington joins Israel's war efforts directly. Iranian officials have revealed the terrifying strategy. American forces in Iraq would be hit first, followed by expanding attacks on every Arab nation hosting U.S. bases. Tehran warns the assault would be systematic, brutal, and designed to inflict maximum casualties. Iran's final card could cripple the world economy. Officials warn Tehran may mine the Strait of Hormuz, the planet's most critical oil choke point, potentially strangling international shipping and triggering an energy price explosion that would perhaps devastate global markets. The domino effect is already beginning. Iran's Houthi proxies stand ready to resume missile strikes on Red Sea shipping, while Tehran's terror network across the region awaits orders to unleash chaos. The countdown has begun. In 48 hours, the world may never be the same. And joining us on Gravitas, we have with us my colleague Susan Tehrani. Hi, Susan. Trump has not given any confirmation on whether U.S. will join the conflict directly, but what he has said is that it is too late for any kind of negotiations with Iran. Get us up to speed with those big statements from the U.S. president on Iran.
Yeah, big statements indeed. It seems that the president has poured the cold water on any prospects of some sort of negotiation regarding Iran's nuclear activities and program and some kind of a settlement and deal between the two sides. Now, it's important to note that his comments come at the backdrop of recent statements asking Iran to surrender unconditionally, and Iran's supreme leader saying that they won't surrender. Just a few minutes ago, we heard President Trump respond to those comments by Iran's leader when asked by journalists what he says to Iran that says we're not going to surrender. He simply said, my response is good luck. The situation is very tense, as you mentioned. America says all options are on the table. Whether or not the United States will get involved, some analysts believe in the next 24 to 48 hours, according to President Trump himself, saying the next week or maybe less than a week is very important, is anyone's guess at this point. But there is that option where the United States would have to go in and destroy a Fordo nuclear power plant, which is underground and which only the United States has the capability to destroy. Will that happen? Well, the world's watching.
Right, Susan, the next 24 to 48 hours is indeed very crucial, but thanks for getting us the latest from New York. Over 6 days of fierce exchanges, Iran's missile and drone salvos have killed dozens in Israel. Israel's air raids have left hundreds injured in Iran. Despite bombing Natanz and other nuclear sites, Israel has failed to inflict much damage. Now the big question, will the U.S. unleash its 15-ton monster bomb, which Netanyahu is asking to take out Iranian nuclear sites? Our next report telling you more.
Tehran is burning. Iran is under relentless assault. Israeli fighter jets have been bombing death from the skies. Over 1,100 targets have been hit by the Israeli military. Israel has taken out Iran's top military and nuclear scientists. Israeli forces claim near total control of Iranian airspace. But one target remains beyond its reach: the Iranian nuclear facilities. All of them buried deep inside mountains. Built strategically and fortified, 2 Iranian facilities have suffered some damage, but overall they remain intact. A powerful American bunker-busting bomb is the only weapon capable of destroying Iran's deeply buried nuclear facilities, making it President Donald Trump's weapon of choice if he chooses to militarily back Israel. The GBU-57, a 13,607 kilogram warhead capable of penetrating up to 60 meters underground before exploding, is missing from Israel's arsenal despite its stated goal of preventing Iran from building a nuclear bomb. These bombs are fitted with a smart fuse that delays detonation until the maximum penetration is achieved. The US can't simply transfer these heavy bombs to Israel. Only America's B-2 bombers can carry this monster. And only the US Air Force has the reach and the arsenal to obliterate Iran's nuclear ambitions in a single devastating blow. Satellite imagery indicates there are now 10 US heavy bombers, 6 stealthy B-2s and 4 B-52s on Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. The distance between the Indian Ocean island and Iran is some 3,795 kilometers, which is well within the range of these American bombers.
The use of the heavy ordnance that only the United States has that would have to be used to destroy, for instance, the Fordo uranium enrichment facility, which is buried under a mountain. And a facility that's designed so you can't just send a cruise missile in through the door. It doesn't work that way. But the U.S. has capabilities that the Israelis don't, as good as the Israelis are.
However, even this heavy bomb has its limitations. This bunker-busting bomb would face a challenge to reach Iran's deepest nuclear facilities, at least some of which are known to be about 800 meters down beneath layers of reinforced concrete. But military experts say the explosion at a depth of 60 meters would have a chance of destroying what was beneath it. As the world debates intervention, German Chancellor Merz bluntly declares that Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us, insisting that America must now shoulder its share. Qatar issues a strong warning. Any strike on nuclear sites risks a catastrophic fallout for the Gulf and beyond, urging restraint and international intervention to prevent disaster. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
We have some breaking news coming in from Tehran. The Iranian Red Crescent has said that an Israeli attack took place near its building a short while back. There's no information on any collateral damage to the building or of any casualties yet. The update comes minutes after loud blasts were heard across several locations in Tehran. On Tuesday, Iran's media outlet said that 3 of its Red Crescent workers had been killed in an Israeli strike in the capital. The latest strikes comes on the 6th day of escalating hostilities between Israel and Iran, with both the sides unwilling for talks and adamant to continue military action. And earlier in the day, Israel also claimed to hit centrifuge production site and missile factories in Tehran. The latest coming in this point of time is that Israel says that it has hit the Red Crescent building in Iran. This comes after loud blasts were heard in the Iranian capital, Tehran. This also comes just a short while after the Israeli Defense Forces put out messages in Persian telling Iranians to contact Mossad, asking people living in Tehran to contact Mossad if they want to stay alive. Israel has been bombing Tehran relentlessly. Iran, on the other hand, has fired over 400 missiles at Israel. Israeli air defenses have struggled to stop the incoming missiles, and now Iran has unleashed a new missile, a hypersonic missile. This comes at a time when Israeli Iron Dome has less than 2 weeks of ammunition left. Our next report telling you more.
The Israeli skies are ablaze with a relentless storm of missiles. streaking like fiery comets in the twilight. Sirens wail across cities as Iron Dome batteries scramble to intercept a barrage of incoming threats. Each explosion lighting up the night with deadly flashes. The destruction in Israeli cities is devastating. Buildings reduced to rubble. Vital infrastructure crippled and civilians caught in the crossfire. The war's sixth day has delivered a seismic shock. Iran has fired its Fatah-1 hypersonic missile directly at Tel Aviv, marking the first time such a weapon has been used in the conflict.
We extend our congratulations to the devoted commanders and fighters of the IRGC Aerospace Force over the 11th wave of the proud Operation True Promise 3, carried out using first-generation Fatah missiles that marks the beginning of the end for the so-called legendary air defenses of the Zionist army and the confusion and self-harm among the Zionist thugs.
The Fatah-1, developed by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and unveiled in 2023, is a medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile with a range of 1,400 kilometers. Easily enough to reach any target in Israel from deep within Iranian territory. What makes the Fatah-1 so terrifying is its speed and agility. Traveling at up to Mach 15, it can cover the distance to Tel Aviv in mere minutes, while its maneuverable re-entry vehicle allows it to change course mid-flight, evading even the most advanced missile defense systems. But Fatah-1 is just the tip of Iran's missile spear. The Islamic Republic's arsenal includes the Emad and Khaybar-Shekan medium-range ballistic missiles, both capable of striking Israel with ranges exceeding 1,000 kilometers. While Emad can carry 750 kilograms of munitions, Khaybar-Shekan can carry a payload of 600 kilograms. These missiles, combined with the new hypersonic capability, give Iran the power to strike deep and hard, overwhelming Israeli defenses. Israel's air defense network is now under unprecedented strain. Aero interceptors costing $3 million apiece are being fired in huge numbers in a desperate bid to shield the nation. Intelligence sources warn that at the current rate, Israel's missile stockpiles could be depleted in just 10 to 12 days.
Another set of breaking news coming in right now. US President Donald Trump appears to rebuff Vladimir Putin's offer to mediate in the Israel-Iran conflict, saying that the Russian president should end his own war in Ukraine first. The statement comes after Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said that Moscow is telling Washington not to strike Iran because it would radically destabilize West Asia. Moscow warns that Israeli strikes risked triggering a nuclear catastrophe. And that's breaking news coming in, where US President Donald Trump appears to rebuff Vladimir Putin's offer to mediate in the Israel-Iran conflict, saying that Putin should end his own war in Ukraine first. Remember, yesterday, the Kremlin had clearly said that Israel and Europe were reluctant if the Russian President Vladimir Putin takes the role of a mediator between the Israel-Iran war. And now the US President Donald Trump has also rebuffed Putin's offer to act as a mediator, saying that he should first end his own war in Ukraine.
Ayatollah Khamenei tweeted almost every day, "Death to Islam."
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran.
Israel is going far beyond targeting infrastructure or nuclear sites in Iran. It has now zeroed in on the heart of Iran's most powerful military force, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC. Israel has carried out coordinated precision strikes, eliminating senior commanders within the IRGC. And well, the pattern is repeating. Every time Iran promotes a new figure to replace the fallen, Israel strikes again. And for the second time, Israel has eliminated Iran's wartime chief of staff, General Ali Khamenei, who was not just the wartime chief of staff, but he was also known to be a trusted military advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei died in a targeted airstrike on a military emergency command in Tehran. That strike has reportedly severely impacted the Khatam al-Anbiya network, the emergency command network. Notably, Khamenei was appointed after the previous chief, we're talking about General Ghulam Ali Rashid, who was taken out in an earlier Israeli operation. And this is not any kind of coincidence. This is systematic targeting by Israel in a bid to dismantle Iran's military decision-making core. But Israel's military objectives are not limited to individual commanders. Airstrikes have also destroyed facilities operated by the Quds Force, the IRGC's Overseas Operations Unit, while weapon factories, training grounds and strategic command posts have all been targeted in waves of airstrikes. And Israel has also been conducting cyber attacks aimed towards weakening the IRGC, which is one of Iran's oldest and most powerful financial institutions. Iran's state-owned bank, SEPA servers, has been hit by a major cyber attack. Predatory Sparrow, which is a hacker group believed to have ties with Israel, claimed responsibility for that cyber attack, further alleging that the bank was targeted for funneling funds to Iran's military. But to fully understand what's at stake here, we need to first understand what the IRGC represents. Formed after the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the IRGC operates independently from Iran's regular armed forces. With over 640,000 members, it commands ground forces, naval units, aerospace divisions, and the Quds Force as well. Now, its influence stretches well beyond Iran's borders, and it exerts immense control inside Iran too. The IRGC's Basij militia forms a powerful reserve force, often deployed to suppress domestic dissent. What makes this body even more formidable is that it reports directly to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Many countries, including the United States, have officially labeled the IRGC as a terrorist organization. And reports say Khamenei has delegated key power to the IRGC's top military council, amid claims that Khamenei himself has been moved to an underground bunker. The targeted strikes against high-ranking IRGC figures signals that Israel is perhaps aiming to not just defend itself, but also at weakening Iran's decision-making powers amidst the ongoing war which has entered day 6. Well, missiles and warplanes are raining over the skies of Israel and Iran for the 6th consecutive day. As strikes continue, people of both the countries are forced to live under fear. Let's now take a look at how people of both the countries are living through this war.
Yesterday around this time, I was at work in District 3 of Tehran. It was announced that Tehran should be evacuated, that it was going to be bombed tonight. So we had no choice but to pack up our things and come here to Van for now. Whenever things settle down, we'll go back and return to our work.
We do not like war, but they are the ones who brought it upon us. They are fighting the world. Not just us. They are fighting all of Islam, not just Iran. First Gaza, then Syria and Iraq. They are not satisfied with anyone, not even with America.
Yes, we came here because the Iranian missiles are a lot bigger, they're a lot louder, they're a lot scarier, and they do a lot more damage than the Lebanese, the Houthis and Hezbollah rockets. So we've seen a lot of damage, so we found it better to just play it safe by coming here.
I feel scared and overwhelmed, especially because I live in the densely populated area that Iran is seeming to target, and our city has very, very old buildings without shelters and without safe spaces. So that is why I'm here with my son and my little baby daughter, who is 4 months old today. Today she's 4 months old.
Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir is scheduled to meet with US President Donald Trump at the White House in a short while from now, even as his under-wraps visit is already under intense scrutiny now. Overseas Pakistanis, especially supporters of the former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan, launched demonstrations against him. The timing has only further intensified the scrutiny, with General Munir arriving just a day before the US marks its 250th Army Day anniversary. Some media outlets thought that he might attend the military celebrations. The meetings with the US president has become even more complicated now for the general as the Israel-Iran war escalates. Pakistan has publicly expressed support and solidarity with Tehran. The country's foreign minister, Ishaq Dar, recently made a formal declaration of Pakistan's support for Iran. And then, Pakistan's defense minister, Khwaja Asif, condemned Israel's actions and urged Muslim majority nations to convene an emergency session of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Khwaja Asif had also dismissed claims by an Iranian general, Mohsen Rezai. The Iranian general had claimed that Pakistan had promised nuclear retaliation against Israel if Iran were attacked with nuclear weapons. And Khwaja Asif, the Pakistan defense minister, has called such claims fabricated and irresponsible. Understandably now, Munir finds himself in a far more delicate position to meet Trump under these circumstances. But what stands out amid all of this is the fact that Trump is choosing to meet Pakistan's army chief instead of the country's civilian leadership. While Pakistani military generals like Ayub Khan, Zia-ul Haq and Pervez Musharraf have interacted with American presidents in the past, those meetings occurred after they had seized political power in Pakistan. But this will be the first meeting of a sitting army chief with the US president, with the political leadership completely out of the picture. Now, the only one that comes to this close was the meeting of the former US President Barack Obama in 2010 with Pakistan General Ashfaq Parvez Kiani, which was on the sidelines of the US-Pak counter-terrorism dialogue. And today's meeting between Trump and General Munir, however, perhaps signals that the US recognizes Munir as the de facto leader and decision maker in Pakistan, despite the presence of an elected government in Islamabad. Officially, there is no declared agenda for the Trump-Munir lunch. However, watchers say Trump could use this meeting as an opportunity to warn Munir from offering any military or logistical support to Iran during its war with Israel. Washington may also try to push Islamabad to isolate Iran diplomatically, especially within forums that matter in the Islamic world. Pakistan, with a majority Sunni population, shares a nearly 900-kilometer border with Iran, a country with a majority of Shia Muslims. Now, the relationship between the two neighbors, Pakistan and Iran, has been complex. In January last year, Iranian forces launched missile strikes inside Pakistan's Balochistan province, targeting what they claimed was a separatist group. Iran later announced plans to seal the border with Pakistan by building a wall to counter cross-border terrorism. Another issue that could surface during the meeting involves the use of American-supplied F-16 fighter jets by Pakistan during the recent conflict with India. It was reported that an F-16 jet was downed during the Indian strikes on Pakistan terror bases. US regulations prohibit Pakistan from using F-16 in any conflict, and these jets are restricted for counter-terrorism operations only. And Washington may rather assert that policy directly to General Munir. Ahead of the meeting, US President Donald Trump also said that Munir was instrumental from the Pakistan side in stopping the war between Iran and Israel. Apart from that, he also credited Prime Minister Modi from India. Trump also claimed again that he had stopped the India-Pakistan war. This bizarre trip vis-a-vis India-Pak triumphalism over facts goes hand in hand with the US President's keenness for a Nobel Peace Prize. His Nobel obsession is well documented, with frequent similar claims in the past as well. As the meeting unfolds behind closed doors, one thing remains clear. Pakistan may be publicly backing Iran, but the rhetoric on Israel has clearly fallen on its face, and Munir and the government will have to do much of the answering back home as it meets Tehran's #1 enemy's closest ally, the United States of America. Let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. From India, we will tell you how the Indian Navy has commissioned INS Arnala, which is the country's first anti-submarine warfare shallow water craft. The commissioning marks a major step towards India's coastal defense prowess. Also coming up next, total of 66 Dreamliner flights have been cancelled since fatal Air India crash, which took place earlier this month. All right, in other news, Russia launched a massive drone and missile strikes across Kyiv on Tuesday night, hitting some 30 locations inside and around the capital. 21 people are reported killed and 134 injured. Kyiv's mayor confirmed a U.S. citizen's death. The U.S. State Department has condemned the strikes as tragic. Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky cut short his visit to the G7 summit in Canada as the destruction and strikes continue in Ukraine. He is now back in Kyiv. At the G7 meeting, Canada announced a new military aid package for Ukraine worth $1.50 billion and unveiled additional financial sanctions on Russia.
International partners, we're launching a major new package of sanctions on individuals, on companies, on vessels, the Shadow Fleet, to exert maximum pressure on Russia. We're also sending over $2 billion in funding for drones, ammunition, armored vehicles to help Ukrainians defend their territory, as well as a $2.3 billion loan to help rebuild the infrastructure in that country.
However, the summit failed to deliver a unified message because the United States, led by President Donald Trump, blocked a strong joint statement on Ukraine amid its efforts to negotiate with Russia and left the summit early. The meeting between Zelensky and Trump never happened. Trump abruptly departed before Zelensky's arrival. The US president was reportedly focused on dealing with escalations between Israel and Iran. With the G7 divided, Canada and other US allies have called for continued stronger support for Ukraine. European leaders from the UK to Germany have expressed hope that Washington will rethink its position and help push a more strong sanctions regime against Moscow. Well, as the war rages on with destruction across Ukrainian cities and diplomatic cracks emerge within the G7, President Zelensky returns home, urging the West to stand firm. Well, in a world on edge, global markets are reflecting the chaos. Oil is on the boil, gold is glittering, and the US dollar is now slipping. The Israel-Iran war has reignited fears of a wider regional conflict. It's not just a political crisis, it's an economic shock, which is being felt across energy markets. And tonight on Gravitas, we decode how this war is impacting oil prices and why gold may soon become the world's ultimate safe haven. Crude oil has rallied by nearly 10% since Israel launched preemptive strikes on Iran last week. Markets are on edge. This isn't just another West Asia flare-up. This is a potential disruption to the very infrastructure that powers the global economy. Oil exports from West Asia, the volatility in crude markets is now higher than during Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Oil options markets are flashing red. Bets on Brent crude derivatives have spiked to record levels, indicating deep concern over tightening supply. Even more, telling oil options are more bullish now than they were in the early days of the Russia-Ukraine war. Brent crude touched its highest level since January. US crude is not far behind, closing at its 5-month high on Tuesday. What's driving this rally? Not just the bombs falling in Iran, but also political statements with real economic impact. US President Donald Trump is now a viral post calling for Iran's unconditional surrender yesterday. He even floated the idea of targeting Iran's supreme leader, though he later said that that was not the plan for now. But markets heard the signal. The threat of escalation is real. Airfares are also rising as major airways cancel or reroute their flights. Aviation fuel is also sensitive to change in crude oil prices. That's just another reminder of how a conflict in one part of the world can impact daily lives for millions of people around the world. Well, as oil surges, another asset is making headlines. That is gold. The yellow metal is up 27% year to date, hitting repeated all-time highs. Why, you may wonder? Because central banks are making a silent but powerful shift away from the dollar and towards gold. A new World Gold Council survey reveals 95% of central banks expect global gold reserves to rise over the next year. 43% plan to increase their own holdings, and 73% foresee a decline in US dollar reserves over the next year. Still, not everyone is optimistic. City experts have cut their gold forecast to $3,300 an ounce over the next 3 months, down from an early estimate of $3,500. They warn that the peak may have already passed, especially as investment demand plateaus and mine supply catches up. But they also admit, if geopolitical tensions worsen or stagflation fears return, gold could surge again. So what does all this mean for you? Well, the global economy is walking a tightrope. Wars are no longer regional. They are economic events. Investors are scrambling. Crude oil is more volatile than it was during the Russia-Ukraine war. Gold is replacing the dollar in global reserves, and markets are bracing for what could come next. Shifting focus, a week after the fatal crash of the London-bound Air India flight in Gujarat's Ahmedabad that killed at least 270 people earlier this month, the airline is now walking with extreme caution. Civil Aviation Regulatory Body DGCA, or Directorate General of Civil Aviation, has said that Air India has cancelled 66 flights to be operated with Boeing 787 planes. The DGCA held a high-level meeting with senior officials of Air India Limited and Air India Express, who are currently operating over 1,000 flights daily across domestic and international sectors. The meeting, which was basically held to review the operational robustness of the airlines, revealed that the recent surveillance conducted on Air India's Boeing 787 fleet did not reveal any major safety concerns. Further, the aircraft and associated maintenance systems were found to be compliant with the existing safety standards. However, the DGCA also said that the decision to cancel 66 Dreamliner flights is in line with ensuring continued compliance with safety and passenger regulations. Not just that, multiple flights serviced by Boeing 787-8 have also been delayed owing to maintenance-related issues reported by Air India. The DGCA also directed the airline to strengthen inter-department coordination in a bid to minimize interruptions. The officials have also reviewed airspace restrictions due to the ongoing conflict in Iran and Israel, prompting closures which have reportedly led to flight diversions, delays and even cancellations. Over the past few days, several instances of disruptions in Air India flights have been reported, the very latest being a massive volcanic eruption in Indonesia, impacting several flights, including an Air India flight en route from Delhi to Bali, which was reportedly forced to return mid-air as a safety precaution. Just yesterday, another Air India aircraft scheduled to operate the first London-bound flight from Ahmedabad since last week's crash failed to take off due to a technical snag. And the list goes on. The recent spate of events have only triggered widespread anxiety and concern among passengers, and rightfully so, considering the sensitivity of the situation in hand, one that warrants better regulations and strategies and stricter protocols from the airline and the management in a bid to ensure complete passenger safety. Well, in a major boost for India's coastal defense prowess, the Indian Navy has commissioned INS Arunala, which is the country's first anti-submarine warfare shallow water craft. The commissioning will happen to its Eastern Naval Command. INS Arunala's commissioning at the dockyard at Visakhapatnam will mark the formal induction of the first of 16 ASW-SWC ships into the Indian Navy's fleet. These vessels have been indigenously designed and constructed under a public-private partnership. Now, the ASW-SWC class of ships will now be replacing the aging Abhay class corvettes. Their primary role is to detect, track and further prosecute enemy submarines, particularly in coastal and shallow water regions. With the capability to operate in shallow water, they remain idle for tasks close to the shore, including patrolling, surveillance and humanitarian assistance. Now, these stealthy warcraft vessels are also capable of comprehensive underwater surveillance, given that they have been equipped with advanced underwater sensors. What makes these a critical offshore asset to India's Navy is that they enable countering of the growing subsurface threat in the Indian Ocean region, which majorly strengthens maritime security and contributes to regional stability. Now, ships like INS Arunala are also a testament of India's domestic development capabilities, underscoring the success of the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative in the defense domain in India. All All right, in other news, on to Taiwan now. The country has started sea trials of its first domestically built submarine. This comes amid its upgrading its military capabilities to defend against a potential Chinese attack. Known as Narwhal, the vessel is a part of a submarine program launched in 2016 that aims to deliver a fleet of 8 vessels. And as per Taiwan's shipbuilder CSBC Corp, the sea trials only began nearly 2 years after the vessel was unveiled. The submarine program has also drawn on expertise and technology from several countries, including the US and the UK. More features and developments, such as underwater tests, are also slated to soon follow suit. Just for context here, Taiwan, claimed by China as its own territory, has made the indigenous submarine program a key part of an ambitious project to modernize its armed forces. In the past, China has threatened to use force to annex the self-ruled island. Beijing also stages military exercises to assert its sovereignty on a near-daily basis around Taiwan. The new submarine is seen as a major milestone aimed at strengthening deterrence against Chinese forces as well as protecting important sea lanes in the event of a war in future. Now, by 2027, Taiwan reportedly hopes to deploy at least 2 such home-built submarines in a bid to fortify its position against its adversary, China, in the strategic ocean waters, that is. Well, chaos in the skies and evacuations on the ground. A powerful eruption has struck Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki on Flores Island in Indonesia, triggering flight cancellations and a top-level volcanic alert. Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki in Indonesia erupted on Tuesday, spewing ash up to 11 kilometers into the sky. The country's volcanology agency raised the alert to its highest level and expanded the exclusion zone to 8 kilometers around the crater. Now, over 50 volcanic tremors were recorded in just a matter of 2 hours.
Until this moment, there are 2 districts affected, the Wulangitang and Ilebura districts, which are within the 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles radius of our Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki danger risk map. And we've also seen more evacuees, although most of the risk areas are uninhabited. But there are still economic activities being conducted there by the residents.
Well, dozens of flights to and from Indonesia's popular resort island of Bali were cancelled after the eruption as well. This as ash clouds formed a mushroom-like plume visible from up to 150 kilometers away. Bali's airport operator confirmed at least 17 flight cancellations, including 12 international and 5 domestic, more than 30 total flights disrupted. International carriers such as Jetstar, Virgin Australia, Air India and Singapore's Tiger Air were among those affected. Not just that, an Air India flight from Delhi to Bali, AI 2145, was asked to return to Delhi after reports of a volcanic eruption near Bali airport. According to forecasts, the volcanic ash cloud is expected to clear by tonight. Meanwhile, on the ground, ashfall blanketed surrounding villages and also triggering concerns of more disruption. All right, with that, we now slip into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION The World is One. Stay tuned.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that